You're listening to the Cleveland Browniacs, a show where two moderately intelligent guys attempt to make sense of the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browniacs podcast is a part of the Fanatical Elves podcast network, a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Here are your hosts, Elliot Kennel and Joel Cade. Hey, welcome back to the Cleveland Browniacs. And here we are again after the Browns clinch the playoff berth. Going to the playoffs, baby. Playoffs? You're talking about the playoffs? Right? And now the only real question, which is the first time in my lifetime that I can really remember this being a thing, is who do we play? Who do we sit? Does this game mean anything against the Bengals? Let's discuss it. What you got for us today, Elliot?
Well, first of all, why am I not on the screen?
You're on the screen.
I don't see myself. I only see you. You're like Baker Mayfield, and I'm like Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think I'm on the screen.
Well, I trust. You're on the screen, baby.
Am I on the screen?
I can see you. I can see you.
You can see me? I don't
just
see
roll
myself.
With it on faith. Just roll with it on faith.
Okay, I'll roll on faith. All right. Well, I want to talk about Driscoll Mania. He's our new quarterback, number 5. Wouldn't it be cool if we had 5 W's from 5 different quarterbacks this season? I think it's not far-fetched.
You're talking about Jeff Driscoll.
Jeff Driscoll. Jeff Driscoll is a virtual unknown to many fans, but not to me, because he's a quarterback that I called for the Browns to sign way back in October, when at that time he was not signed by anybody and he could have been signed off the street. I've been crying all year long that they did not have enough quarterbacks and that they needed to have 3 quarterbacks on the active roster and another guy stashed on the practice squad. Jeff Driscoll was available, and it turned out he got signed by Arizona. You know why?
Why?
Well, because they traded the Rocket Man, Joshua Dobbs, to Minnesota, and they had a vacancy, and so they signed Jeff Driscoll. And so there's a Cleveland connection right away, and they signed him. He was a former Bengal, you may recall, and he looked pretty good against us when he played. It's been a while. I think like 2017 or something like that. 2018 he played against us, and he looked pretty good for the Bengals. There's a reason why he's available. He had kind of a funny college career. He had one good year for the University of Florida as a sophomore, but then he broke his leg and he never made it back as a full-time starter for Florida, and he wound up transferring to Louisiana Tech in 2015. And there he threw for 4,000 yards, and he had that really big year with 27 touchdowns versus 8 interceptions. So he was really, really good for 1 year, and that was, a 5th year of eligibility because of that injury. And so he was kind of an old rookie, and he got drafted late. I think he was like a 6th-round draft pick or something like that, and he was drafted and didn't play right away, and finally wound up with the Cincinnati Bengals, who used him as a backup quarterback, and he did pretty well. He never really had what you would call, a disastrous season. He always put up decent numbers for a backup, not overwhelming that would make you think that he should be a starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. But his quarterback rating was 82, 75, 78, and then in 2022 for Houston, in just 2 spot starts, he compiled 99.6. That's not bad. That's pretty good. And but he's 30 years old, and he's never going to be the franchise quarterback that everyone wants to see. He's not young. He's not going to, wow everybody and take the league by storm. But I think he's a good quarterback that can run an offense. And the Browns have got this idea by now that you only need 1 week to learn a playbook, because, that's what our guy has done. Joe Flacco was able to do that. And now that he's set the standard for everybody else, now you're
Well,
expected to
I'll say this. I'll say this. He was in Cincinnati, okay, and that Cincinnati offense comes out of a hybrid, or at least a different branch of the same outside zone tree. Okay, so some of the terminology has to be the same. Some of the reads have to be the same. It's really just got to be a matter of finding what from the Browns branch of the outside zone is compatible with what the Bengals were doing with the outside zone. By that, I just mean you got Stefanski's in the Shanahan, Kubiak side of this whole situation, and oh, I can't think of his name down there. Cincinnati, their head coach. He comes from
Marvin Lewis.
Not Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis isn't their head coach.
Well,
they got that young guy they got from
2018.
No, from right now. Their head coach right now, right? He's got the he's got the whole
Zach Taylor.
Yeah, Zach Taylor's got the whole LA Rams motion. A lot of wide receivers, not necessarily tight ends. Understanding of the offense. So it's a little bit more of a wide open offense because the Bengals can do that because they have a lot more receivers than they really do tight ends. And the Browns run it a different way, but it's the same basic offense. So Driscoll does have some basis of what he's going to be able to do in Cleveland. But go ahead. Continue your rant.
Yeah. Well, I think wasn't Marvin still with the Bengals in 2018 when Driscoll played?
Wasn't he with Zach Taylor?
No, I don't believe so.
Driscoll ever played with Taylor?
No, he was with Marvin Lewis. This is back in the Stone Age. Marvin Lewis.
Okay, well then forget what I just said.
Yeah,
I'm just being a moron.
He was with Marvin Lewis. Then he went on to play in Detroit in 2019, and also as a backup. The Detroit Lions were not that great in 2019, I don't believe. And then he played for Denver in 2020, another disaster. And 2021, after Deshaun Watson left, he played for Houston, and that team was not very good. Neither was it very good in 2022. So he never played for good teams in the NFL, but he put up reasonable statistics, but did not post wins as a starter. But if you believe, like most people do, that it's all on the quarterback and the quarterback determines the won-loss record, then he's a bad quarterback. But if you believe, like I do, that he's just one player, he performed rather well on some bad teams. It's not like they were winning teams without him, and then when he went there, they turned bad. No, they were bad teams without him, and they didn't play any better with him. But he was, adequate, I would say, or consistent with the other quarterbacks on the team. And I think he can probably play at a level that is similar to PJ Walker, let's say. I don't believe that there'll be a step backward necessarily.
Well, let me add
PJ
this.
Experience.
Let me add this. As I put the moderate and moderately intelligent takes on this show, I think he'll be all right. I mean, his job is to not get hurt. That's his job this week. Don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Because if he gets hurt, then you got to play PJ Walker. And you don't want to play PJ
He might get hurt. We don't want to get him to get hurt because we like PJ. We like him better than we like
Driscoll's job is to not get hurt. That's his job. Don't get hurt. So with that being the case, I would expect them to hand the ball off probably to Pierre Strong a lot.
And that might not be a bad thing. He might actually gain yards. The screen pass might actually work.
They're going to be throwing the ball to Anthony Schwartz. Oh, wait a minute. He's not on the team anymore, is he?
It wouldn't
that was
matter.
a joke. I knew he wasn't on the team.
It wouldn't matter because he wouldn't catch it in any case. So it doesn't matter.
I think they're just going to throw the ball to receivers that don't play much. They're going to give the ball to the running backs that don't play much. They're going to play offensive linemen that don't play much. And their job, quite literally, is just to not get hurt.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else about Jeff Driscoll is that he's 6'4", 235, and he ran a 4.5 at the combine. Of course, that was a long time ago.
That was like, what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was 20, when was it, 2015 or something like that, 2016.
So 8 years ago.
Yeah, but he's big, very fast, and he's a threat to gain yards on the ground.
So you're saying he was fast 8 years ago?
He was a freak of nature.
Eight
He was
years
one
ago.
of those guys that a combine superstar, and he just didn't really have the playing time on a top team in college, and then he got stuck with bad teams in the pros. So he was just a really remarkable athlete, and I think he had potential, and he just never really had the opportunity to show it. Okay, yeah, and he was selected by the San Francisco 49ers in the 6th round in 2016. And the 49ers traded Vernon Davis in order to obtain that draft pick. How about that? That's not.
That sounds like a salary dump. All right, hey, we're going to head over to commercial break, Elliot. Was there something you wanted to say before we talk in the commercial?
Yeah, I did want to say something about that. We like to do public service messages when it's commercial break time. One of the things that we noticed in the news is that there was a big earthquake and tsunami in Japan, where I used to live. And one of the great organizations that responds in times of emergencies and crises is the Red Cross. And if you Google Japan Red Cross tsunami, you'll come up with the Japanese Red Cross Society, and there's a way that you can donate if you'll just do that. So I'll just mention that. And okay, we're ready for the break now.
All right, so after the break, we'll come back and we'll talk more Cleveland Browns news, as in besides Jeff Driscoll, who's sitting, who's starting, who's playing, who do you got to take, who's going to take a break, who's got the rest for the weary. So we'll catch you on the flip side. All right, and we're back. So, Elliot, let's talk about the rest for the weary. Now, after we've gotten through Driscoll Mania, and we're going to watch the next best thing since Cam Newton out there running at 6'4", 4.5 40 at 6'4", 230. Now that we've got our next version of Cam Newton out there. Who needs Cam Newton when you got Jeff Driscoll, right?
There you go.
Come on.
Well, right. We could have signed Cam Newton. I believe he still wants to play and he's available, but we didn't sign him.
I think, well, you can get into a whole bunch of situations with Cam Newton, but leaving that aside, the Browns have added Roger Saffold to their practice squad. Roger Saffold is probably a good addition, 2-time Pro Bowler, second team All-Pro at one point, 10-year veteran, I believe, putting him on the practice squad as a guard. So I guess I just want to put out there, if the Browns are signing practice squad guards, do you think he's going to get elevated and get some guards sitting out this week?
Why not? Or maybe they're thinking about needing him in the playoffs. I don't know, but I would expect that they'll be playing backup offensive linemen to the extent that they can. I think they're going to play the entire back end of the roster would be my guess.
Right. I was doing the What the Elf Was That show yesterday, and I was looking over the Browns roster, the Browns injury reports, which there might be an updated one today, but looking over the injury reports, and I really think that if you're on that injury report and you can sit this week, you should. Now, I also think the Browns should take this game as kind of like the third preseason game. You bring your starters out there, you go a drive, maybe two, and then pull them. Just enough to get a kind of rhythm and going so you're not going 2 weeks without playing. And then, bam, you pull them and you put in people like Roger Saffold and you put in people like Jeff Driscoll, and you just kind of let them roll. All right,
yeah, I'm not even sure that we need to have that first drive. In fact, I thought you might take that position. I would take the opposite position. You, of course, have a much stronger background in what goes on the field and what it's like to be sharp versus rusty. And I'm just thinking in terms of the analytics and the probabilities of injuries. I think the 17-game season is long enough. We really don't know what happens when you increase the length of the schedule like that. I'm not a football player, but I was a marathon runner, and I know that it makes a difference. There's a big difference between 25 miles and 26 miles, 385 yards. And never forget about the 385 yards, because when you get there, you don't want to run that 385 yards. I think that it behooves you to avoid the injury risk at all costs. I don't want to see Myles Garrett out there for one play. I want him to rest that shoulder completely. And then also, I don't want to see Flacco out there. I think he needs to rest completely. I don't want to see, we're short on wide receivers. I don't think I want to see the wide receivers out there. I don't want to see anybody out there, really.
So let me be clear here on what I'm actually saying, because I haven't given you the whole story. I think you got to do a tiered thing. You have a tier A people. Tier A people are sitting. This is your Myles Garrett, your Amari Cooper, people who are currently on some kind of thing like a concussion, your questionable, doubtful, out. Those people are sitting. Period. Okay. If that was your status for last week's game, you're not playing this week. Now, beyond that, I think you don't start your quarterback. You start Driscoll Mania out there. Okay. Would I like to see Flacco for one drive? Probably. But the concern, and the only reason I would say one drive, the Browns played on Thursday, which means they're already into the mini bye, right? They got an extra 3 days heading into this week. Then if you give people a day off, that's a whole nother 7 days, right? So then you're talking 20 days. I mean, this sounds like a Baltimore Ravens bye week in 14 is what it sounds like, right? You got like a half a month off from playing football so that your whole team can rest. Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing that. So the people that need to sit, put them on your A list, you put them out there. Starters that they're like the B list starters, put them out for a drive or two. And if you can pull them from the game after that, do it. Only because you're looking at about a 20-day rest period. 17 days is what you're talking about. But that's my reason for the drive or two.
Well, yeah, certainly there's a case that can be made for that. And we do know that the Baltimore Ravens went through this chose to rest a lot of players a few years ago and lived to regret that choice. But that's the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not sure that we have a large enough data sample to base a conclusion on that. And that was also during a 16-game season.
No, I'm talking about the Ravens had like a week 14 or week 12 or 13 bye,
I get it.
But they came into their bye after playing a Thursday night game. So they got like a 17-day bye.
I get
bye
it.
And a mini bye combined, and they came out rusty the next game. So I'm just saying little oil on the hinges there doesn't hurt.
I get that, but on the other hand, I would go in favor of trying to be as healthy as possible, simply because the Browns are so beat up that they need to recover as much health as they can. And also the bottom of the roster is probably pretty good. And so I think I'd let those guys play. And I think that they can probably still take on the Bengals and have a chance to win.
Yeah, see. Of the players that I would not play Zadarius Smith. I would not play Myles Garrett for obvious reasons.
Oh, yes.
I would not play Denzel Ward. Okay. Anthony Walker's not playing because he's been out for I don't know how long. I would not play Juan Thornhill. Whether or not he is ready to go, I'm not putting him out there. If you have enough guards to sit Wyatt Teller, I would do it. If you have a backup center that you can sit Ethan Posick, I would do it. If you have enough guards to sit, actually, this isn't an if enough question. You sit Joel Bitonio, period. He's priority one in the guards. You play Teller before you play Bitonio. I would also sit kicker Hopkins and kicker Bojorquez. Let those guys get 100% before you put them out there. You got people on the practice squad. Just let them play. Right? Amari Cooper would not play.
Yeah, don't play.
He has been questionable.
Heel injuries really suck. You know that? They just say, it's just a heel.
Well, no, that's not good. Marquise Goodwin would not play. Right? He's questionable. Not playing him. I would even dare to think that I wouldn't play David Njoku.
Oh, I wouldn't play him. No,
he's only been out there for rest, so I don't know if I'd play him. But you got to have enough. Those people who are playing, okay, they have to stay healthy. This is the I'm not getting hurt game, because if they get hurt, the offense becomes one-dimensional at best. At worst, you're putting a starter out there just so you can field a team. You don't
Yeah.
want that either. You just want people to get through the game healthy. So I think we're going to see a lot of run, pass, punt. That's going to be a lot of the Browns offense.
Yeah. Burn some time off of the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get in and out with 45 plays total for the game.
Yep.
And don't call any timeouts.
Just running clock, man.
Yeah.
Let's just do the running clock. I don't know what the Bengals are thinking. They may come out and want to try to prove something at the end of the season, or they may have their lockers already packed up, waiting for the end of the game. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, no, I think the Bengals want to win. I don't think that, there's some fans that say, oh, man, we can get better draft position if we lose the game on purpose.
Yeah, players don't think that way.
They don't think like that. I don't think the coaches think like that. I think they
Nope.
want to win the game. And plus, they already have their backup quarterback is their number one quarterback. And so I don't think they have any bones about starting their number 2 guy. I don't even know who their number 3 guy actually is. But I think that they will have no qualms about starting the number 2 guy. And they've been really happy to get him some playing time because he's been really good. And basically, I think that he's going to have a career day against the Browns. If the Browns start their backup secondary, he's going to torch us, really. He's probably going to throw for 300
Well, that
yards.
depends if the Bengals are going to throw T. Higgins and Jamar Chase out there, both of whom are nursing injuries.
No,
if they throw those 2 out there injured, I think that's just dumb. But if they do, then yeah, they're going to have a field day.
But they have some depth in the wide receiver corps. They have some credible wide receivers that can catch.
I don't think they're on the level of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Oh no, they're not at that level, but they can accomplish the short passing game. They may not unleash the bombs that terrify us like Jamar Chase can do, but they can catch the ball.
I think the Bengals are going to come out and do run, pass, punt.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be one of the most boring games in the NFL.
They'll say, who the hell is under contract for next season?
Who has the injury clause?
You get out there and play.
They're going to find out if somebody has an injury clause and sit them. They're going to give them the what's his name in Denver? What's his name? The quarterback in Denver. What's his name?
Russell Wilson?
They're going to give them the Russell Wilson treatment. Oh, you got an injury clause. You're going to sit because we're not going to pay you if you get hurt.
Stuff like that will come into play. It's a joke, but you're exactly right.
Well, I'm being truthful by joking.
Yeah, but no,
that is actually gonna happen.
It is the truth. I believe it.
Who's got the injury contracts here? Yeah, so I don't know. I think it'll be a boring game. I think both teams are just gonna try to let's just get this and go home. But honestly,
I think wide open. I think it'll be an offensive game. I think it'll be entertaining. I think that there'll be a lot of offense.
I think if passing happens, it's going to happen because teams are loading the box to stop the run. I don't think anybody's passing otherwise.
Well, yeah, I think, the Bengals have backups that are pretty talented. And I don't think Tyler Boyd, is he under contract? I don't know that he is. And I'm not sure that
I think T. Higgins is a free agent.
T. Higgins, I think, is also a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. So they can play him. Not a problem.
I think they're going to franchise him.
And but they can play him, and if he gets injured, then they just don't worry. They'll go sign somebody else. But they got some good mileage out of Trent Irwin. Has been good for them at wide receiver. Got pretty decent hands. He catches it. Doesn't run as far after he catches it, but he can catch the ball. And Tanner Hudson, that tight end, has been a real find for them. He can catch it. And, another guy that I've always liked that we haven't seen very much of is Chris Evans. He had a really good year. I don't know is he on IR or something? We haven't seen very much of him, but he caught the ball well out of the backfield, and I thought he was going to be a threat. Maybe he's on IR or something. But
well, hey, Elliot, we're running up on time here. So,
okay.
Good, fun conversation this has. All good things got to come to an end. So, guys, enjoy this week. I'm probably going to go down to this game because it's in Cincinnati, and I'm closer to Cincinnati than Cleveland. Plus, now that Driscoll's been announced as the starter, I think the tickets are going to like bottom out. So if I can find myself a ticket under like $30, I'm going. Because the place is going to be empty. So you buy yourself a $30 ticket, you just go down to the 50-yard line in the bowl, and you'll be good. That's how I roll in these games. So, Ellie, you got anything you want to say?
I'm just waiting for Driscoll meeting. Could there be a quarterback controversy if he wins this game and throws for a whole bunch of yards against backups?
No.
Are we ready for Driscoll mania, fans?
That's more like Deshaun Kaiser mania. Oh, he can beat backups. Let's start him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We saw how that went.
He did really good against the third string and pretty good against the second string. Now, the first string he had some serious problems with, but we think that was an aberration. So he's our franchise quarterback. Let's start him.
Yeah. We'll see if Deshaun Kaiser can win this week. That's my new nickname for Jeff Driscoll, is Deshaun Kaiser.
No.
This is the newest version of Deshaun Kaiser. Kaiser was big and fast.
I want to bring him into training camp next year. Bring him and PJ both. I think they're real.
Driscoll and Kaiser?
Fun. Not Kaiser, PJ.
Oh, come on. I'm still on Deshaun Kaiser, man. All right.
Ruined. We ruined him good.
I think we did.
I think he's a talent, but I think we ruined him.
He wasn't
you can't
really
play stupid
college,
football for a full 16 games and expect to unlearn that. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, being a Notre Dame guy, I do have a soft spot for Deshaun Kaiser, but I do also know that Kaiser had issues when he was at Notre Dame, so not surprised he had issues in the NFL. All right, everybody, we'll catch you next week after hopefully a Browns victory over the backup Bengals, and we'll catch you next week.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browniacs. Please like and follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts.